Welcome to another episode. So this time I'll be discussing about what's the future for 40 plus in Indian IT industry. I mean 40 plus in the sense 40 plus of age. So this is the question. Generally it is posted across many of the social forums, and even they tend to discuss with me like what is the future of the people who are above 40 in the IT industry. To get into that, we need to understand first how the IT industry is looking like. See, the growth started from mid 1990s onwards. Prior to that, yes, you hardly heard about the IT industry as such. Thanks to Infosys, I mean, it was around early 1990s is what they started. And we started, they started in 80s, but then the growth started in 90s onwards. So basically, there are two segments in IT industry. One is the IT services are outsourcing or offshoring. So almost 100% of the companies were in this segment till 2010 around. It's about a decade back. Almost 100% were in this segment or captive units. Captive units in the sense, suppose a foreign-based company, say for example, those days it was General Electric. So if they wanted to have their own unit, that's called a captive unit. Otherwise, IT services, you name it, you have it, like TCS, Wipro, Infi, and so many of them are there. They are all IT services. They do provide services to the client. Basically, it could be in US or Europe or Middle East or anywhere across the globe. They provide services in providing maintenance, which is called the managed services, or some kind of a development or implementation of ERP. Those things could happen. Those are the IT services. They provide services to the companies across the globe. So this is where it was all there till 2010. In the last one decade, it's about 10 years, we are seeing IT products as well. With cloud, that is cloud technology, we are witnessing exponential growth in this segment in the last 10 years. So there are comparatively, if you look at the employment percentage, close to 70 to 80% still are on the IT services, and this is growing. IT products is growing exponentially, and balance 20% of the folks are in IT product sector, and that is where even the pay wise there is quite a disparity. In IT product sector, the pay is much higher compared to IT services. So example could be Zoho, Freshdesk, because there's a worldwide market with a cloud. So this is just an example, Zoho or Freshdesk. Otherwise, there are many of them. We'll see that in the subsequent screen as well. The others, Zomato, Swiggy, you would have all heard this name. Flipkart, Denso, many more. Even with the domestic market, they are called unicorn. Unicorn is if they have a valuation of about more than 1 billion USD. So two segments, IT services was the old one, and IT product segment has happened in the last 10 years. And there are well-known products. Zoho is of course well-known across the globe, and they are competing with the companies like Microsoft, Oracle, and many more, and they employ close to 6,000 plus IT consultant in this site. So let's look at the career path in IT services. So if you look at India as such, this is the typical career path. Programmer, or they call it kind of a system engineer, a fancy name is given, even though they do the same job. So programmer, system analyst, junior system analyst, all related to performing programming or developing programs, then becomes a team lead, then it is a project manager. Project manager could be a mid management segment, and that is probably, or they can call it a delivery manager next stage, or a project management officer who manages the project managers. So typically this is the career path of most of the IT services company, and less than 10% of the role in individual contributor role in IT services. Individual contributor role in the sense architect, and architect is very less in the IT services, because the solutioning part is taken care by client themselves. So individual contributor, if there are maybe thousands of or maybe 10,000 people, maybe few, maybe 10 or 20 could be an architect in a particular technology. So this is very less architect, whereas client, each of the client might have one or two architects. Client in the sense US based companies or UK based companies do have architect. So they do the solutioning, and implementation may be given to the IT services company. So that is where, as we go up the ladder, the chances is less beyond PM. So maybe maybe it is only in the strategic management role, maybe as VP, that is just a handful, maybe few, less than 10. So that's where the opportunities gets reduced in the IT services as you age up higher than 40. So you need to keep that in mind. So rate of obsolescence in technology is also quite high. This is evident from, if you take an example like mainframe, earlier came in 70s, still up to 90s. If you are a mainframe programmer, you could have spent about 2 decades there with mainframe. But these days, technology lasts for 5 to 7 years. Similarly, another example is ERP, enterprise resource planning. If you talk about 90s, it was people went into ERP. It was lasting for about 10 years. Now still it is there, but the market is quite saturated. High level of consultants are available. So resource availability is another factor. So IT services company wants younger resources because they can pay lesser money, and again it all depends on the client budget. So they can pay lesser money or lesser salary to the consultant compared to experienced guys who are 10 plus years of experience. So resource availability is a definite plus for India, and that is where they always have consultant. If you look at the average age of IT services company, even IT product company, they say it's about 28 or 30 plus. So that is for the IT services. And again, if you compare with the US, UK, the IT services setup is rare in the developed economies like US. It's more into product development, or even if it is there, this could be like an extension for maybe Infosys, TCS or Wipro could have an office over there, and they have the consultant deputed to these countries like US or UK. So, and comparatively, yes, the IT services, as I said, IT services setup is very rare in the developed countries like USA, and it's an extension of an Indian based IT company. So this is the scenario for IT services. But in the last 1 decade, that since 2010, the IT product development has witnessed an enormous growth. And again, this is a partial list of unicorn, like it means which has valuation done because they attract funding as well. I will just show you a screen, and that is where they employ because they get funding through either through stock market or through investors. They have to do a process of valuation, and if it is valuated for 1 billion, then they are called as unicorn. So in the last 1 decade, we are witnessing exponential growth in the product companies. This site gives you some of the best unicorns. I'm sure you have heard the term unicorn before. It refers to privately held and achieved 1 billion in valuation. So that is the common terminology which you keep hearing. It's an unicorn, and it lists about 62 of them, starting from Beijus, Swiggy's, Oyo Rooms. So look at the valuation and when it is started. It will be all mostly around 2010, around that period, 2010 onwards, and so it's about around 62 of them. So the pay as well is high, but they are in the latest technology, maybe because they use the web. So they are in the latest technology. So that is where, and again, the pay wise definitely better than the IT services company. So having looked at it, so I mean, as a consultant, IT consultant, where do you focus on? Ultimately, you need to focus on the technology part and look at for opportunities. And even though it could be a startup, yes, do your homework, find out, discuss and find out whether the product company has sufficient funding and what is the technology they use. Probably you need to focus on the, as of now, you need to focus on the cloud infrastructure, maybe Azure, learn Azure, or the Oracle cloud infrastructure, learn about it, or Google or AWS. AWS is the pioneer, but now the rest are also catching up. Full stack development like Java scripting, database management, because earlier backend, front end, now they call it as a full stack development or a full stack developer. So learn those technology, focus on the technology if you are inclined towards learning it, because as far as the IT industry is concerned, you need to keep learning on it. Ultimately, what you need to do is, once you are strong with the basics, at some point of time you can be on your own itself. That is the flexibility, because that's a flexibility available with the IT industry as such. So either you can go up the career ladder, but at some stage you can be on your own as well. So focus on the technology. That is what is important as far as the IT industry is concerned. I hope you found this useful. Please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.